The divorce papers were barely dry when I purchased that one-way plane ticket. No hesitation, no looking back over my shoulder, just me, 2 suitcases, and a completely fresh beginning waiting across the Atlantic Ocean. Everyone kept asking why I'd abandoned everything I'd built. The answer was straightforward enough. There wasn't a single thing left worth staying for. Our marriage had been finished long before the legal documents made it official. She'd ensured that outcome when she started dedicating more hours to Damien than to me. Everybody in our social circle was aware of what was happening. The neighbors whispered, our mutual friends exchanged knowing glances, even her own family members saw it unfolding. But nobody spoke up until it was far too late to matter anymore. The divorce proceedings dragged on for 8 brutal months. 8 months of attorney meetings, heated arguments about property division, and watching her perform the role of sufferer in a disaster she'd orchestrated herself. When the judge finally put his signature on the final papers, I experienced a sensation of lightness I hadn't felt in years. No more constant tension hanging in the air, no more elaborate lies to navigate, no more pretending our relationship was salvageable when it clearly wasn't. Within 3 weeks, I'd liquidated most of my possessions, resigned from my position at the manufacturing plant, and secured employment overseas. An old buddy from my Navy service days had solid connections in Barcelona. The compensation was reasonable, the cost of living was manageable, and most significantly, it was 5,000 miles removed from the wreckage I was leaving in my rearview mirror. That flight out felt like the most peaceful 12 hours I'd experienced in forever. No phone calls interrupting my thoughts, no manufactured drama, just clouds stretching endlessly in blessed silence. When I finally landed, the crushing weight I'd been carrying around just lifted. This relocation was precisely what I needed to reclaim my life. Getting established in Barcelona turned out to be less complicated than I'd anticipated. I located a modest place near the Gothic Quarter. Nothing luxurious, but it was comfortable and suited my needs perfectly. The logistics job was straightforward enough, managing shipments for an export company. My Spanish was absolutely terrible initially, but the locals were remarkably patient while I stumbled through basic phrases. Within about a month, I developed a solid routine. Work during the day, explore different parts of the city in my free time, practice the language, connect with new people. Real, genuine individuals who didn't know a single thing about my complicated past and weren't particularly interested in digging into it. Then, roughly 6 weeks after I'd gotten settled, my phone absolutely exploded with notifications. Messages flooding in from old friends back home. Screenshots filling my screen, photos everywhere. She'd gotten married to Damien, which was completely predictable. The wedding appeared expensive as hell. Large venue, massive guest list, the complete production. The photographs showed her in an elaborate white dress, beaming like she'd just won the lottery jackpot. I examined the pictures for perhaps 30 seconds, then deleted every single message. Good for her, I thought to myself. She obtained exactly what she wanted. I had what I wanted too, and it had absolutely nothing to do with her anymore. But then, Brendan sent me a text message. He'd actually attended the wedding. An old friend who'd somehow managed to remain neutral throughout the entire divorce ordeal. His message was brief and cryptic. Dude, you dodged a serious bullet. Trust me on this one. I didn't respond immediately. What was there to say? I already understood I'd dodged a bullet. The fact that she married Damien so incredibly quickly just confirmed what I'd suspected all along. This wasn't some brand new relationship that developed after our separation. It had been continuing for quite a while, probably much longer than I wanted to think about seriously. The next message from Brendan arrived about an hour later. The reception was absolutely wild. Something happened. She completely lost it in front of everyone there. I'll fill you in later, but man, you picked the perfect time to leave the country. That definitely got my attention. She lost control at her own wedding reception? That didn't sound remotely like her character. She was always so meticulous about maintaining appearances, so deeply concerned with what people thought about her. For her to lose her composure in public view, something genuinely serious must have occurred. I typed back, "What do you mean she lost it?" 3 dots appeared on my screen, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, his response came through. Can't text at all, too much to explain. But someone said something during the toasts, and she went completely pale, like she'd just seen a ghost. Then she spent the remainder of the night looking absolutely miserable. Damien looked confused as hell. Nobody in attendance knew what was going on. I set my phone down on the counter and walked out onto my small balcony. The Barcelona evening was pleasantly warm, the street below bustling with people heading to dinner destinations, couples walking hand in hand. Life here operated at a fundamentally different pace. People actually seemed to enjoy the experience of living instead of just grinding through each day trying to survive. Whatever happened at that reception wasn't my concern anymore. She'd made her choices deliberately, and I'd made mine with equal clarity. If she was experiencing regrets or dealing with consequences now, that burden was entirely on her. I'd devoted enough years attempting to repair things that were fundamentally broken beyond fixing. My phone buzzed again with another notification. Another message, but this time it wasn't from Brendan. This time it was from a number I'd kept stored but never genuinely expected to see appear again. Her number. The message was remarkably simple. Can we talk? I stared at those 3 words for an extended period. 2 months ago, I would have responded immediately, desperate and anxious to hear whatever she had to say. 2 months ago, I still harbored some hope that perhaps things could somehow work themselves out, that maybe she'd realize what she was throwing away. But that was 2 months in the past. That was a fundamentally different person living a different life. The person I was now, standing on a balcony in Barcelona with a new job and a genuine fresh start, didn't need to have that conversation. I turned my phone completely off and went back inside my apartment. Whatever she wanted to discuss could wait indefinitely. Or better yet, it could remain permanently unsaid. Some conversations simply aren't worth having, especially when you already know exactly how they'll conclude. The following morning, I powered my phone back on. 7 missed calls, all originating from her number. No voicemails left, just the calls themselves. Then, 1 text message. Please, it's important. I deleted all the notifications and headed to work. Important to her, perhaps, but not to me. Not anymore. Brendan called me that evening. I almost didn't answer the call, but curiosity ultimately won out. You're not going to believe what I witnessed at that reception, he said, completely skipping any standard greeting. I'm telling you, it was like watching a train wreck unfold in slow motion. I poured myself a generous glass of wine and settled down on my couch. All right, I'm listening. So everything was proceeding fine at first. The ceremony itself was pretty typical. Lots of emotional crying from her mom. Damien looking smugger than hell. Then we transitioned to the reception. Open bar, fancy expensive food, the usual wedding fare. About an hour in, they begin doing the traditional toasts. Let me guess. Someone made an uncomfortable joke about how fast they got married. Worse. Way worse than that. Brendan paused for dramatic effect. Her cousin Sienna stood up. You remember Sienna, right? The one who never really liked Damien from the start? I did remember her clearly. Sienna was always refreshingly straightforward, sometimes brutally honest to a fault. She'd actually warned my ex about Damien years ago, said he wasn't the type to genuinely settle down with anyone. Sienna gets up there with her champagne glass, Brendan continued, and she launches into this toast about love and commitment, standard wedding speech stuff. Then she says, and I'm quoting her directly, marriage is about choosing someone every single day, even when it's hard. It's about loyalty when nobody's watching. It's about being honest, even when the truth is uncomfortable. That doesn't sound particularly bad. Wait for it. Then Sienna looks directly at your ex and says, I hope this marriage has all those things because we both know what happens when it doesn't. Then she raised her glass and sat down without another word. I leaned forward in my seat. What did she mean by that specifically? That's exactly what everyone was wondering. But your ex? Man, the color literally drained from her face. She looked like she'd been physically slapped. Damien was confused, kept asking her what that meant. She just kept insisting it was nothing, that Sienna was being overly dramatic. But it wasn't nothing. Definitely wasn't nothing at all. After that particular toast, the entire atmosphere changed dramatically. Your ex barely smiled for the remainder of the night. She kept looking around nervously like she was anticipating someone else to say something similar. People were whispering among themselves, trying to figure out what Sienna was actually talking about. I took a slow sip of wine. And did anyone eventually figure it out? Not at the reception itself. But I talked to Sienna afterward at the hotel bar. She'd consumed a few drinks by then and was more willing to speak openly. Brendan's voice dropped to a lower tone. Apparently, Damien has been seeing someone else. That actually surprised me. Already? They just got married. No, not already. During. While he was still with your ex, before you two even filed the divorce paperwork, Sienna found out about it months ago through a mutual friend. She'd been sitting on that explosive information, waiting to see if Damien would actually go through with the wedding. I leaned back in my chair, processing this revelation. So she married a guy who was cheating on her while he was cheating on me with her. Poetic justice, right? Sienna said she couldn't sit there and toast their marriage knowing what she knew. So she gave that speech, just vague enough to not cause an immediate scene, but clear enough that your ex would understand exactly what she was talking about. Does Damien know that she knows? I don't think so, but your ex definitely understood the message loud and clear. After the reception ended, I saw her in the hallway near the bathrooms. She was on her phone crying hard, not the happy crying from earlier in the ceremony, actual upset crying. For a brief moment, part of me felt vindicated. She'd abandoned our marriage for someone who turned out to be exactly what everyone had warned her about. But another part of me felt something different. Not sympathy exactly, but maybe recognition. I knew intimately what it felt like to discover the person you trusted was lying to your face. That's probably why she's been calling you repeatedly, Brendan said. She's realizing what she gave up. She didn't give up anything. She threw it away deliberately. There's a significant difference. True enough. So what are you going to do? Are you going to talk to her? I looked out at the Barcelona skyline, the sun setting beautifully behind the buildings. No, what would be the point? Even if everything you're telling me is completely accurate, it doesn't change a single thing. She made her choice, and I made mine. I'm not interested in being her backup plan or her shoulder to cry on. Good, because honestly, she doesn't deserve that from you. You've moved on with your life. Let her deal with the mess she created herself. After we disconnected the call, I sat there thinking about Sienna's toast, about loyalty when nobody's watching, and about being honest even when the truth is uncomfortable. Those were the exact qualities that were missing from my marriage. The exact things I'd asked for repeatedly and never received. My phone buzzed again with another notification. Another text from her. I know you're seeing these messages. Please, just 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. 5 minutes. She wanted 5 minutes of my time. After years of elaborate lies and months of contentious divorce proceedings, after moving on with Damien before our marriage was even officially over, after getting married just weeks after our divorce was finalized. I typed back a single word. Why? The response came immediately. Because I made a mistake, a huge mistake, and I need to talk to someone who actually knows me. I stared at that message. She needed to talk to someone who actually knows her. The irony wasn't lost on me whatsoever. For years, I'd tried desperately to know her, tried to understand what she wanted and what she needed, and every single time she pushed me away, kept secrets, built impenetrable walls between us. Now she wanted to be known, now she wanted understanding. I put my phone on silent mode and went to bed. Whatever crisis she was having, whatever revelation she'd come to at her own wedding reception, it wasn't mine to solve. Not anymore. The next morning, there were 3 more missed calls and 2 more text messages. I deleted them all without bothering to read them. Brendan was absolutely right. I dodged a bullet. And I wasn't about to walk back into the line of fire just because she finally realized what she'd lost. 3 days passed without any contact attempts. Then she tried calling at a time I couldn't easily ignore. It was 2 a.m. Barcelona time, which meant it was early evening back home. I'd been out with some coworkers, just getting back to my apartment, when the phone rang insistently. I was tired, maybe slightly buzzed from sangria, and my guard was down. I answered. Thank God, she breathed out. I thought you were never going to pick up. It's 2 in the morning here. What do you want? I know, I'm sorry. I needed to hear your voice. She sounded exhausted, her words slightly slurred. Had she been drinking? You heard it, now what? Don't be like that, please. I just want to talk. I walked into my apartment and dropped my keys on the counter with a clatter. We don't have anything to talk about. The divorce is final. You're married to Damien now. Congratulations, by the way. Don't. Her voice cracked audibly. Don't do that. Do what? Acknowledge basic facts? You got married 2 weeks ago. I saw the photos. Looked like quite the elaborate event. There was silence on the other end, just her breathing heavily. When she spoke again, her voice was smaller, more vulnerable. How's Barcelona? It's good. Great, actually. Weather's nice, job's solid, people are friendly. I'm settling in well. That's good. I'm glad you're doing okay. I'm doing better than okay. Best decision I've made in years moving here. I wasn't trying to be intentionally cruel, just completely honest. but I could hear the impact of my words in her sharp intake of breath. "I miss talking to you," she said quietly. "That's weird to say, considering you're on your honeymoon or just got back from it, right?" "Yeah, pretty weird. We didn't go on a honeymoon. Damien said we'd do it later, when work slows down for him." I almost laughed out loud. "He said that? What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Not my business anymore." Another long, uncomfortable pause. I could hear music playing in the background on her end. Voices talking and laughing. "Where are you right now?" I asked. "At home. Damien's working late again. He's been working late almost every night since the wedding." I didn't respond to that revelation. The implications were clear enough without me spelling them out. "I keep thinking about what Sienna said at the reception," she continued. "Did anyone tell you about that? I might have heard something about it. She basically accused Damien of cheating on me in front of everyone. Can you believe that?" "Can I? Yeah, actually, I can believe that pretty easily. What's that supposed to mean?" I sat down on my couch, suddenly feeling very tired. "Come on, you're not that naive. You know exactly what it means. Damien left his previous relationship for you. What makes you think he won't do the same thing to you? That was different. We had something genuine, a real connection." "Right, a connection. That's what you told me when I found those texts on your phone. That you'd found a genuine connection with someone who understood you better than I ever could." "Why are you bringing that up now?" "Because you called me, remember? You wanted to talk. So let's talk honestly. Why did you actually call? And don't say it's because you missed talking to me. We both know that's not it." She was quiet for so long, I genuinely thought that she'd hung up. Then, "Do you ever regret it? The divorce?" "No. Not even a little bit? You don't ever think about what we had?" "I think about it sometimes, but not the way you're probably hoping. I think about all the warning signs I ignored, all the times I made excuses for your behavior, and all the chances I gave you to be honest with me. And I'm grateful that chapter is closed permanently." "That's harsh. It's honest. You wanted honesty, right? That's what Sienna's toast was about. Being honest even when it's uncomfortable." "You talked to Sienna?" "I talked to Brendan. He was at your wedding, remember? He told me everything." I could hear her breath quicken noticeably. "What did he tell you? Does it matter? The point is, you made your choice. You chose Damien. You chose to end our marriage. You chose to get remarried less than 2 months after our divorce was finalized. Those were all your decisions." "I thought I was choosing happiness," she said, her voice breaking. "I thought I was choosing someone who would make me feel alive again. And how's that working out for you?" She didn't answer, but I could hear her crying softly. Part of me wanted to feel bad for her, but I couldn't. This was the direct consequence of her actions. This was the result of the choices she made. "I should go," I said. "It's late here, and this conversation isn't going anywhere productive." "Wait, please, can I ask you something?" "What?" "Do you hate me?" I thought about it carefully. Did I hate her? I used to. For months after discovering the affair, I'd felt nothing but anger and betrayal consuming me. But somewhere between filing for divorce and landing in Barcelona, that hate had evaporated completely. What replaced it was something closer to indifference. "No," I said finally. "I don't hate you. I don't really feel anything about you anymore. And honestly, that's so much better." She sobbed then, a genuine cry that might have broken me 6 months ago, but now it just made me tired. "I have to go and I said. "Don't call this number again. There's nothing left to say. Please, don't hang up. I ended the call and immediately blocked her number. Then I blocked her on every social media platform I could think of. Clean break. No more looking back. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Brendan. "Did she call you?" "Yeah, I handled it." "Good, man. She doesn't deserve your time." He was absolutely right. She didn't. And I wasn't going to give her any more of it. 2 weeks went by without any contact whatsoever. I'd settled into a comfortable rhythm in Barcelona. Mornings at the logistics office handling shipments, afternoons exploring different neighborhoods, evenings learning Spanish with a group of expats and locals at a cafe near my apartment. Life felt normal again, like I was finally breathing after being underwater for years. Then Sienna reached out directly. The message came through LinkedIn of all places. "Hey, I know this is random, but I think we need to talk. It's about your ex. Can I call you?" I stared at the message for several minutes. Sienna and I had always gotten along, but we'd never been particularly close. The fact she was reaching out directly meant something significant had happened. I sent her my number. She called within 5 minutes. "Thanks for answering," she said. I wasn't sure if you'd want to hear from anyone connected to that situation. Depends on what you have to say. Fair enough. I'll get straight to it. My toast at the wedding, the one everyone's been talking about. There's more to that story than anyone knows. Brendan told me Damien was cheating. That's what you were hinting at, right? That's part of it, but there's more. She took a breath. About 4 months ago, I was at a restaurant downtown with some friends. I saw Damien there with a woman. Not your ex, someone else entirely. They were sitting in a corner booth, very cozy, very intimate. I thought maybe it was a work thing initially. But then, he kissed her. Not a friendly kiss. A genuine, romantic kiss. Before or after he got engaged to my ex? After. They'd already set the wedding date. I took a photo because I knew nobody would believe me otherwise. I showed it to my friend Hannah, who knows Damien through work circles. She confirmed that the woman in the photo is someone he's been seeing for over a year. Her name's Vivian. I processed this information carefully. So he was with Vivian while he was having an affair with my ex-wife, who was still married to me. That's impressive levels of deception. It gets worse. Hannah did some digging. Vivian didn't know about your ex. She thought she was Damien's only girlfriend. When she found out about the engagement, she confronted him. He told her the marriage was just for appearances, for his career, that he'd continue seeing her afterward. And she believed him? Apparently, at least for a while. But then, about a week before the wedding, Vivian showed up at your ex-wife's workplace, caused a scene in the parking lot. Your ex convinced herself that Vivian was just some delusional woman with a crush on Damien. She chose to believe his version of events. I walked to my balcony, looking out at the evening traffic below. That's what you meant in your toast? About being honest even when the truth is uncomfortable? Exactly. I couldn't sit there and toast their marriage knowing what I knew. I wanted to tell her outright, show her the photos, but Hannah convinced me not to. She said it wasn't my place, that it would just make me look like the bad guy. So I gave that toast instead, vague enough to not cause immediate drama, but clear enough that she'd understand I knew something. Did it work? She called me the next day, demanding to know what I meant. I told her everything and showed her the photos, gave her Hannah's contact information so she could verify it herself. At first, she didn't believe me, said I was jealous that I'd always had a problem with Damien. But then I sent her Vivian's Instagram account. Let me guess. Lots of photos with Damien. Bingo. Photos from dates, trips, restaurants. All time-stamped, all taken during the time Damien was supposedly committed to your ex. She couldn't deny it anymore. That's why she's been calling me, I said, the pieces falling into place. She realized she destroyed her marriage for someone who's doing the same thing to her. Pretty much. And from what I'm hearing, it's getting worse. Damien hasn't stopped seeing Vivian. If anything, he's gotten bolder about it. He's barely home. When he is home, they fight constantly. Your ex reached out to a few people asking if they knew good divorce attorneys. I almost laughed. They've been married for, 3 weeks? 20 days, but who's counting? Sienna paused. Look, I know you've moved on. Brendan told me you're in Spain now, doing well. I'm not telling you this because I think you should get involved or feel bad for her. I'm telling you because she's probably going to try reaching out again, and you should know the full picture. I blocked her number after she called me last time. She'll find another way. She's desperate. Not because she wants you back necessarily, but because she needs someone to validate that she's not crazy for feeling betrayed. Problem is, she betrayed you in the exact same way, so any sympathy she's looking for isn't going to come easy. She's not getting it from me, that's for sure. Good. You don't owe her anything. I just wanted you to have all the information. Sienna hesitated. For what it's worth, I always thought she was making a mistake leaving you. Damien's charming on the surface, but there's nothing underneath. You're better off without her. After we hung up, I sat on my balcony for a long time, watching the sunset over Barcelona. The situation back home was almost poetic in its irony. She'd left a faithful husband for an affair partner who turned out to be exactly what everyone warned her about. Now she was living the same nightmare she'd put me through. My phone buzzed. An email from an address I didn't recognize. I know you blocked me. I don't blame you. But please, I need to ask you something. How did you know? How did you know I was lying before I even admitted it? How did you stay so calm when you found out? I'm going through something similar now, and I don't know how to handle it. I read the email twice. She wanted advice. She wanted me to help her navigate the pain of being cheated on by the person she'd cheated with. The audacity was almost impressive. I typed out a response. You handle it the same way I did. You accept that you can't control other people's choices. You acknowledge that the person you trusted broke that trust. You stop making excuses for them, and then you move on. The difference is, I have sympathy for my situation because I didn't create it. You created yours. Good luck figuring it out. I hit send before I could second guess myself. Then I blocked that email address too. Brendan texted me an hour later. Heard Sienna filled you in. Wild situation, right? Understatement of the year. She's asking people about you, wanting to know how you're doing, if you're seeing anyone, if you ever talk about her. Tell anyone who asks that I'm doing great and I never think about her, because it's true. Will do. By the way, there's a pool going around about how long their marriage lasts. I've got money on 3 months. That's generous. I'd give it 6 weeks. The next morning, I woke up to another email from a different address. Just one line. Did you ever love me? I deleted it without responding. The answer didn't matter anymore. What I felt back then was for a person who either never existed or stopped existing long before I realized it. That person was gone, replaced by someone I didn't recognize and had no interest in knowing. Barcelona was teaching me something important. Sometimes the best way to win is to stop playing the game entirely. She could keep reaching out, keep trying to engage me, keep looking for closure or validation or whatever it was she needed. But I wasn't participating anymore. I had my own life now, and it was exactly what I needed it to be. A month passed. I'd stopped checking for messages from unknown numbers or suspicious emails. Whatever crisis she was navigating wasn't my concern anymore. My Spanish had improved enough to hold basic conversations without embarrassing myself. I'd gotten promoted to senior coordinator at work, and I'd started seeing someone. Nothing serious yet, just coffee dates and walks along the beach with a woman named Catalina who worked at the cafe where I practiced Spanish. Life was good, genuinely good. Then Brendan called again. Man, you need to hear this. It's getting messy back here. I was at a tapas bar with coworkers halfway through my second beer. I'm really not interested in updates about her situation. I know, but this is significant. She filed for divorce 5 weeks after the wedding. It's all over social media. People are losing their minds. I excused myself from the table and walked outside. 5 weeks. That's got to be some kind of record. It gets better. She's claiming fraud, says Damien misrepresented himself, that he was in another relationship the entire time. Her lawyer's arguing the marriage should be annulled. Is that even possible? Apparently it's a gray area, but here's the thing that's making it complicated. Damien is fighting it. He says the marriage is valid and he wants spousal support. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Spousal support? They were married for 5 weeks. That's what everyone's saying, but Damien quit his job 2 weeks after the wedding, claims he did it because she wanted him to focus on starting a family business together. Now he's saying she owes him financial support while he looks for new work. That's insane. He has to be lying. Probably. But he's got texts, apparently. Messages where she talked about them working together, building something. Her lawyers saying she was talking hypothetically, that there was no genuine plan. It's turning into a complete circus. I leaned against the stone wall outside the bar, processing this information. What about Vivian? Is she involved in any of this? That's another layer. Vivian showed up at the courthouse during one of the preliminary hearings, started yelling at Damien in the hallway. Security had to escort her out. Turns out he'd promised her that once the divorce went through, he'd marry her instead. He's running the same playbook on everyone. Exactly. And now all 3 women are comparing notes. Your ex, Vivian, and apparently there's a 4th woman who came forward last week, someone Damien was seeing before he even met your ex. They're all talking to each other, sharing evidence, building a timeline. It's like watching a documentary unfold in real time. I shook my head. That's karma working overtime? No kidding. Anyway, the reason I'm calling is because your name came up in the legal proceedings. Damien's lawyer's trying to argue that your ex has a pattern of failed relationships, and that's why their marriage fell apart. They're saying she sabotaged it because she couldn't handle commitment. That's rich, considering she's the one who ended our marriage. Right, but they're twisting it, saying you moved to another country to escape, that the divorce was contentious, that she has emotional issues. Her lawyer needs you to provide a statement. Just basic facts about the divorce, nothing dramatic. Would you be willing to do that? I thought about it. On one hand, I wanted nothing to do with this mess. On the other hand, Damien was trying to manipulate the narrative, and I had no problem setting the record straight. Send me the information. I'll provide a statement. But make it clear I'm doing this to prevent Damien from lying, not to help her. Understood. I'll pass that along. After we hung up, I went back inside. My coworkers asked if everything was okay. I told them it was just some legal paperwork from my old life. Nothing important. Catalina caught my eye from across the room and smiled. That smile reminded me why I'd left in the first place. To find something genuine, something uncomplicated. 2 days later, I received an email from a law firm. The statement they needed was straightforward. Timeline of the marriage, when I discovered the affair, whether the divorce was contested. I filled it out honestly, attached copies of the divorce decree, and sent it back. Done. But that evening, another email came through. This one wasn't from a lawyer. Thank you for sending that statement. I know you didn't have to. My attorney showed me a copy. You could have made me look terrible, but you stuck to facts. That means more than you know. I hope Barcelona is everything you wanted it to be. I hope you're happy. You deserve that. I'm sorry I couldn't give it to you. I read it 3 times. There was something different about this message. No manipulation, no requests for contact, no attempts to engage me in conversation, just acknowledgement and apology. I didn't respond, but I didn't delete it either. Brendan texted me the next week. Court hearing got postponed. Damien's lawyer requested more time to gather evidence. Your ex is freaking out because she can't afford to keep paying her attorney if this drags on. That's not my problem. I know, just keeping you informed. Oh, and her parents basically disowned her. Her dad told her she made her bed, and now she has to lie in it. They're not helping with legal fees. That surprised me. Her parents had always supported her, even when she was clearly in the wrong. For them to cut her off meant they'd reached their limit. What about Damien's family? They're staying out of it completely. His mom apparently told him months ago that marrying your ex was a mistake. Nobody in his family even came to the wedding. They all knew what he was. I set my phone down and looked around my apartment. Sunlight streaming through the windows. Sounds of the city below. A postcard from Catalina on my refrigerator from a weekend trip we'd taken. This was my life now. Peaceful, honest, moving forward. Meanwhile, back home, she was drowning in the consequences of choices she'd made. Part of me felt vindicated, but a larger part just felt grateful that I'd gotten out when I did. My phone buzzed one more time. Another unknown number. Can I ask you one thing? Just one question, and then I won't contact you again. I stared at the message. Against my better judgment, I responded. What? When did you stop loving me? I need to know when I lost you. I typed slowly, choosing each word carefully. I stopped loving you the moment I realized you'd never been honest with me. Not about your feelings, not about Damien, not about anything that mattered. You didn't lose me. You never had me. Not the genuine version of me anyway, because you never let yourself be genuine with me. I sent it and immediately blocked the number. Catalina called an hour later, asking if I wanted to grab dinner. I said yes without hesitation, because that's what my life was now. Simple questions with simple answers. No hidden agendas, no second guessing, no drama. Just forward momentum. And it felt incredible. 6 months later, Brendan sent me one final update. Thought you'd want to know. The annulment went through. Damien got nothing. Turns out he'd done this before, twice. Both previous marriages lasted under a year. Judge called him a con artist in open court. I was sitting at a cafe with Catalina, planning a trip to Portugal. I read the message and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just complete indifference. Everything okay? Catalina asked. Yeah, just closing a chapter that should have closed a long time ago. I typed back to Brendan. Thanks for letting me know. Don't send any more updates. That part of my life is done. Understood. You're living your best life, man. Keep it up. I blocked Brendan's ability to message me about her. Clean slate. That evening, one last email arrived. I almost deleted it without reading, but something made me open it. I heard you're with someone new. I'm happy for you, genuinely. I destroyed something good because I thought I deserved better. Turns out I didn't deserve you at all. I won't contact you again. I finally understand what you meant about moving forward. Thank you for showing me what integrity looks like, even when I didn't appreciate it. I hope she knows how lucky she is. I showed Catalina the message. My ex-wife, final goodbye, apparently. She read it and shrugged. You going to respond? No, there's nothing left to say. I deleted the email and every other message I'd saved, cleared the history, removed the numbers, erased the digital trail. Then I turned to Catalina and said, let's book those tickets to Portugal. She smiled. Now, right now. No reason to wait. We spent the next hour planning the trip, laughing over wine, making actual plans with someone who showed up honestly. No games, no hidden agendas, no wondering if I could trust what she was saying. My phone stayed silent for the rest of the night. No messages, no calls, no attempts to pull me back into a past that no longer existed. The divorce was final. The annulment was processed. The chapter was closed. And I was exactly where I needed to be, with someone who chose me every single day, without hesitation, without doubt, without looking for something better. She'd asked when she lost me. The truth was simpler than she realized. She never had me to lose, because she never chose me when it mattered. But Catalina did, and that made all the difference. Barcelona felt like home now, not because of the city itself, but because I'd finally learned what it meant to be chosen by someone who meant it. That was the ending I deserved, the one I'd built for myself.